Hey everyone, and welcome back to the third part of this EU for Castille tutorial. Today we will discuss the basics of colonization and exploration, and I will give you some useful tips when colonizing. Let's jump right back in. Okay, so when we left off last time, we just got the chance to pick some idea groups, so let's go ahead and do that right now. So if you're considering to do a colonization game, then you absolutely have to get as the first idea group this next idea group, namely the exploration ideas. So let's go pick ahead. Let's go ahead and pick that now. Okay, so these first three ideas will be the most important ones to get early. So in this tutorial I will probably cut out some of the waiting parts and maybe I will do some conquering in the meantime off screen, which I won't show you. But the main focus now is to get this first idea. And this first idea, as you see, it says if we research this idea, then what happens? Well, it allows recruitment of explorers and conquistadors. So what do these explorers do? I briefly told you that already in the last part. So if you want to explore to the west of Europe, and you might think, well, okay, just click on my fleet and just right click here. But as you see, it says, oh, you cannot do this. You need to have, it says it right here, you need the idea quest for the new world to explore these ocean times. And also, before I continue, what I really want to emphasize here is if you're considering doing a colonization game, you absolutely need to have a specific DLC, namely the El Dorado DLC, I believe. If I'm not correct, I will put it on screen right now, but I'm fairly sure that it's the El Dorado DLC. And I will, later on, when I have this first idea researched, I will tell you why. So let's wait a while until we have this first idea. Okay, so now we have enough Diplo power to research a new idea. So let me briefly go over how ideas work. So at specific admin text you can pick new idea groups as indicated here. So this is the level of the admin text you should have. You also have, so every nation separately has its national ideas. These are their national ideas. So you will automatically gain these ideas by researching from ideas from idea groups. So if you have so for every idea you research, you will get 1/3 of the progression for one of these ideas. So if I have these three ideas, I will also have this idea. And also every nation has traditions. You can see those on top. You will have these automatically, so you don't need to do anything for this. But if you have completed all of these ideas, you will get an extra one. And that extra one is, you can see that if I hover over here, it says when we have gained all Castilian ideas, we will also gain global settler increase plus 25. Also, what is important to note, so I chose an idea group from the Diplo category, but you can also, of course, pick one from the military. I also mentioned this in my other EU4 tutorial video. By the way, if you haven't checked that one out, you can click over here to go there now. But it is important that if you have a military idea group, that you not to fall behind in military tech. So I use a fairly easy rule of thumb for this to make sure that I don't fall behind. Generally speaking, one idea is the same as being as having plus 40 in your technology. So what do I mean by this? So if you go to your technology, you will see these numbers, and this will indicate how ahead of time you are. So what I usually do is wait until I'm ready to research the new tech, and then if this number is plus 40 or higher, you can still research the technology and not fall behind in tech. So that is a nice trick you can use. But it's not that bad to fall behind in Diplotech, and exploring takes a lot of time, so I'm gonna go ahead and, even though I'm behind in tech, still gonna research this idea. So I'm going to click over here and it says cost me 400 Diplo, and then okay. So now we can recruit explorers and conquistadors. Now in order to do that we need to have 50 Diplotech, so let's just wait until we have that. Okay, so now we have enough points to do this. Okay, so in order to do exploration missions, you need to have a fleet, and that fleet needs to be either consisting of 3 heavy ships or 3 light ships, or of course more than that. So what I'm gonna do is detach my 4 heavy ships, because hey, why not? Gonna click no leader, and then I'm gonna go over here and recruit an explorer. Click OK, and then click over here. Okay, so now let me tell you why it is so important to have this 𝐉𝐻𝐸 DLC. So, if you don't have this DLC and you want to do exploration, you're gonna get really pissed, because I recently played a game with one of my brothers. He didn't have this DLC, he was hosting, and okay, so and if you want to explore, you have to do the following. You have to click on your fleet, then right click in these provinces, and then it will slowly go to that province, and while you're exploring, your attrition will increase, and if your attrition increases in sea provinces, the integrity of your ships will go down, and eventually you can lose your ships. So that's very annoying, and you will also always have to pay attention. Where is my ship? Do I need to recall it? Can I send it to another province? And it mostly comes down to that you're able to explore 2 sea provinces and then have to return and let your fleet regenerate. Now, if you have this DLC, it gets a lot easier. I believe you don't even have attrition if you're doing normal exploration missions. And these exploration missions can be done automatically. So how does that go? So now I have my exploration fleet selected. I go to select mission, explore, and now I can just tell him where to go and explore. So that's very nice. Well, now you might wonder, where should I explore? Well, my tip would be to first colonize the Caribbean, and you will later see why. So let's just go ahead and send my fleet to go over here, and you also see that you can either let them explore coast or sea. So the best thing to do is the following. In order to explore the coast provinces, you need to have explored the sea provinces. So you need to go to that sea province in order to see the land, of course. So here you see I can go to both the North Atlantic coast and North Atlantic Sea. So if I were to do this, go to North Atlantic coast, and then were to explore North Atlantic Sea, then I would again get new provinces that are coast provinces. So yeah, that is a bit that's a bit annoying. It takes a lot of time. So just first go for all the sea provinces. So I want to go to the Caribbean, so let's send my fleet to the Caribbean. And now, as you can see, the fleet will automatically go and explore, and we don't have any attrition. So that's very nice. So let's just wait until the exploration is done, because the ship will go to all the provinces that belong to that area. So as you can see, the fleet is slowly but steadily exploring all the provinces around the Caribbean. Well, this is not really the Caribbean, but apparently it belongs to that part. So if you want to see what provinces belong to a specific... If you want to see what provinces belong to a specific area, you can do that in the following way. Hold on, let me just... Okay. I think you have to go to geographical and then the area map mode, and then you can see what belongs to where. So these are the sea areas and the land areas. So for example, here you can see, oh, this is Lyon, this is Beiras, etc. But this is a very nice map mode for when you're doing colonization. It's the colonial and trade regions map mode. And that will actually show you what provinces belong to a specific colonial area. So these are the same color, and so, oh, well, we have not explored it yet, so we cannot see what it belongs to, but these, of course, belong to the Caribbean. Okay, so when it is done, you will get this kind of notification. My explorer has finished the mission to explore the Caribbean Sea. So you might think, okay, why did you leave out this part? Because, well, that is because it probably belongs to some other area. You cannot explore it manually. You will have to do it by selecting that specific mission. So now that we have done this, it is of course important to note we will always get a notification when our explorer is done, so we don't have to worry that he's sitting there and doing nothing. So when I've enabled the game to automatically pause when something like this happens, so it's immediately paused when my explorer returns, but now I cannot immediately send him on another mission because I have to wait 1 day, strangely enough. So after 1 day, I can send him again to explore. So now let's let him explore the coast provinces. So what that does is the fleet goes over there. Apparently, you can pass through an area that has not been explored yet. Okay, that's really strange, but okay. And then he goes to these to the sea province next to these coast provinces, and he will take a look. He will explore all the land provinces. And sometimes when this happens, like this, you will get a notification or an event or something. And apparently we got a lot of, see, like this, so we get a base tax in Saint Martin. That's over here, I believe. No, it's not. It's over here. Now he's gonna go back. Okay, so now it is important. Now that we have discovered these provinces, now let's talk about these kinds of provinces. So in Europe and in some other parts of the world, you will already have provinces that have people in them. So all these provinces belong to a nation. In some parts of Africa and in, of course, the New World, there are a lot of provinces where there are no nations yet. That doesn't mean that there are no people there. There are still natives there, but that doesn't count as nations. So we have these a bunch of these provinces. So let's click on one of them and we can see some information about it. So this apparently has 10 development. There are 2,500 natives here. This is the aggressiveness of the natives, and this is the ferocity of the natives. So you might think, oh shit, when a bunch of natives is very aggressive or very ferocious, I need to watch out and bring a lot of units to defend my colony. In general, I would say that this is not really necessary, because most of the time, if you just put 1k of troops there, that will be enough for any kind of uprising. So now that we have seen these provinces, we of course need to colonize those provinces. Well, how do we do that? So we want to click over here. Okay, so we have no colonists. So now we need to get a colonist. And that is where the following idea comes in. So this next idea will give us a colonist. And when we have a colonist, we can send them over here to colonize the province. However, there's one tiny bit of a problem in the beginning of the game. Namely, there is a limit to how far you can send your colonist. So it can be the case, like here, for example, that you have explored provinces, but that your colonist cannot get there. So if you want to see how far your colonist can get, you have to use the following map mode. You have to go to economic map modes and then go to colonial. And then all the provinces that are red cannot be visited by your colonist, and all green provinces can be visited by your colonist. So as of right now, our colonists cannot get over here. So even if we were to have one of these colonists, we cannot colonize any of these provinces. It can, for example, go over here, because if we go back to the normal map mode, we can see that this is not yet colonized. So we need to find some way to increase our colonial range. There are two ways to do this. The first one is by researching the third idea that will increase our colonial range. Or, so it's not this one, but it's the admin tech after that our range will also increase. So let's now just wait. And just continue exploring while we wait for while we wait to be able to colonize. Okay, so while I'm able to research this next idea, I'm not going to do it right now because we're not even able to use this colonist right now. So let's just go up in tech and then just use it later. Okay, so I just got an event that gives me a Conquistador for free. So I mean, I had the choice of picking an Explorer or a Conquistador, but I already have an Explorer, and I have already explored everything there is to explore right now, at least, because there's a certain range to where your Explorer can go. So I just thought, let's just take 1k of units, put a Conquistador on it, send it to the New World, and let's see, and let's just explore over here. Because in order to see this new land, you need a Conquistador, and this can also be done automatically. I also believe maybe with the El Dorado DLC. So just click here, and it starts to explore. It will run into natives along the way, but it will also give you chances of finding gold, but that mostly doesn't happen. Just see it as a way to increase your map visuals. See, so here he's fighting with natives. Sometimes he can die or he can lose, but it doesn't really matter that much. So I now can technically go up in tech, but there is one main reason I'm not going to do this right now, because if you look over here at our institutions, it is spreading in our country. We're one of the last nations to embrace this, and we have a 30% institution penalty. So if I were to research this technology now, I would be paying 30% extra. So we're paying way too much, and we really need that for our idea group. So I'm just going to wait a while, wait even longer, and then maybe embrace the institution, and then do the tech, and then advance in tech. So while I'm now waiting for to be able to embrace the institution, I see that I have 800 diplo powers, and I can just do both of these. So I'm thinking just going ahead and doing this, and let's just see if this works. If we now can get our colonists over there. So let's see. Oh yes, so now we can get over there. So let's just start with, let's see, where was I? Could send them over here or here. So now let's go ahead and send our colonist over here. You can see it will take 118 days for him to get here. So let's send the colonist. And in the meantime, let's also build one infantry unit to go over there. Let's increase our maintenance. And what I like to do is just send exactly one cog or transport ship to the new world. So let's just wait for the guy to finish. Okay. Okay, now you want to make sure that your supportive infantry unit that is there to protect your colony is near the province you're colonizing when your colonist arrives. So let's just go ahead and send him over there, because it only takes 30 more days for the colonist to arrive. Okay, and there we go. He arrived, and we can see that he's building a colony. So now this is not yet one of your provinces. I mean, it is kinda, it's not, but it doesn't count as a real city or a real province. So, okay, let's just first, hold on. Let's just first wait for our troop for our infantry to get there. And also, this is something that also always occurs when you first colonize. I believe there is a DLC where you can also see this setting and change it. But for now, we can only pick one of these three. So you can either say live and let live, and that will have a higher chance of assimilating the natives. With this option, we will trade with the natives, and with this option, we will the colonies will grow faster. What I've seen is that if you pick this first one, it will only count for the first province. So I'm not really sure if it actually increases the growth of the provinces or that you need the DLC for that. But I usually pick this one because I don't really have, but I haven't really noticed any of the benefits of these. Okay, now that we've done this, let's just get our guy over there. Let's just go to port over here. Then our 1K unit is here. And now we have to wait for this colony to grow. So this colony grows in the following way. We get new settlers. So there's no colonists here right now, and there's a 11.8% chance of him attracting extra settlers each month. And we also have that there are 20 settlers per year coming there. So now it's just a matter of time and waiting until we have 1,000 settlers there, and then it turns to a real city. You can technically remove your colonists now and let the colony rise on its or grow on its own, but that will make it really slow. So I would advise you to let them just stay there, because if you were to retract them and then build a new colony, the costs for your colonies will increase. So what do I mean by that? So now we can see here, it's the second option from down. It says colony maintenance -2. So we're paying 2 ducats each month for the growth of this colony. Now, if we were to make another colony, the costs will increase. It increases exponentially. I believe for the first colony, we now have 1 colony, so it is 2. And then for the next one, it's, I believe it's, I'm not sure, it's either 2 or 4, and then it increases again, so the costs go up. It's a linear increase. So best just, certainly in the first part of the game where the money is tight, just let it grow slowly. So let's just wait until this colony has grown. And let's let our conquistador explore further. And let's find a way to reduce costs, because this is not very good. You would say let you just lower your army cost, but if you do that, the natives rise up. Then you will lose in the new world, of course. So, and because our range is now increased, we can also send our colonists on another exploration mission. So now you can see we apparently didn't explore the entire Caribbean. So we're now sending him to the sea, and our new king is now in charge. What happened to our old king? Apparently that was Regency then, I think. So let's just... I've never had this problem before, that $1 million money problems, so that's a new one for me. So I think I'm gonna mothball all forts. And if you do that, there is no garrison in them, but you will pay less for it each month, so we'll have some more income. You can also delete some forts and it will have no... you will pay nothing at all. So, okay, our money is actually steadily growing now. Let's see if there is another thing we can do. We can slide down the fleet. Oh no, fleet maintenance is not possible because our explorer is out there. Let's temporarily stop rooting out corruption. So another advantage of colonizing in the game, I mean, it's actually being rewarded in some sense. If you have this DLC, I believe it's Mandate of Heaven, and you will have these age objectives. So one of the objectives is to discover America, which I just did, so that is fairly nice. So now you can pick any of these bonuses. Another thing that's really nice is, even if you don't have this Mandate of Heaven DLC, is that if you colonize, you have a chance that the next institution, which is colonialism, will spawn in your land, which is very nice because you will be the first one to be able to embrace that institution. So if, by the way, you were at any point you want to look up how these institutions spawn, you can just see this is for the current institution, then you can, and this is the next institution that will spawn. You can hover over here, and it will say all the things that need to be true in order for this to spawn here. So you can see I have fulfilled all of this, except that it's the year 1500. So we have a good chance that it will spawn here, and it will spawn, and it can spawn for every European nation that has colonized or has sent a colonist, I believe. So our conquistador is steadily exploring South America. And our explorer is exploring over here. So you would say, well, if there's a certain range to this explorer, why can't he just leave from this province that I just colonized? The problem there is that it has not actually been colonized yet, so it doesn't really count as a province. So if this is a full province, then you can actually do this, and then your range will increase. And so in that way you can explore the entire world. So now you can see these natives rise up. So, well, their military tactics is 0.5, I have 1.2, their morale is 2.5, I have 4. So you can see this is fairly easy, even if they have a lot of more, even if they have way more troops than you. And later I will go in depth more on which colony or which province you should colonize, because now I just picked any province that was available in the Caribbean, but you can actually make a smarter decision. And I will later tell you how you should do that. But let's just wait until our colony has grown. Mission fulfilled. Discover the Caribbean. So that has probably to do with the fact that these provinces are now discovered by the explorer. So now global settler increase plus 15. This is really, really nice, because this way our colonies will grow even faster. And now you can see that the next mission is Caribbean colony. So Castilla or their subjects own at least one fully colonized province. And one fully colonized province is what I told you before. So if this is full, it will turn into a province and that will count as such. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take a loan in order to embrace this institution because this is getting really annoying now. So, there we go. And next stack. We're still far behind. So our colony is done, finally. So let's just, because we have a bit of a money problem right now, not build a new colony yet. Let's just see how this war goes first. Okay, let's prevent them from allying again with the Ottomans again. And we need money, so just only give me money or something. Okay, I will see you back when I dealt with these debts. Okay, so now it's 1 December 1499, so possibly the next institution can spawn on the 1st of January. So let's see. Hey, and yes, it spawned here. So now we get a bunch of points, prestige. So that's very nice. So let's see where it spawned. It spawned in here. Okay, nice. Alright, so we're finally catching up a bit in tech. And then we can continue with the with the colonization part. So I'll see you then. Finally, we can take over these provinces because in the last war I made sure the Ottomans were no longer their friend. So finally. So finally we have the last provinces to form Spain. So now we just have to wait until we can repay the last loan. And then I will continue colonizing. Oh yeah, so after you've conquered those provinces in the south, you will always get this event. And you can now choose to either force these Sunni provinces to convert. But you will get some unrest. And yeah, that's the main problem. You'll get some unrest, or you can get one stability, and you'll have to still convert them. But since my religious unity is quite low, I'm going to go for the forced conversion. And that will also, yeah. Let me finish this one. Okay, so finally our army is at full maintenance and we still have a positive income. Okay, so now we can finally continue colonizing. So let's just now discuss the way colonial nations will arise. So what happens is that if you colonize a bunch of provinces, then eventually those provinces will turn into a new nation, which is a colonial nation, which is a subject of you, but which is not directly controlled by you. So they can make their own decisions. So if in one region you take over a bunch of these provinces, then in that region, this colonial nation will start to exist. So this is the colonial map mode. So these are the provinces that belong to colonial Caribbean. And if you have 5 provinces in such a region, so if I have 5 provinces in this area, they don't have to be adjacent, just have to be 5 provinces in here. Then after you've finished colonizing the 5th province, the colonial Caribbean will start to exist. So it is the best thing to do is first create a nation in each of these separate areas. So let's first start with making colonial Caribbean and then with colonial Colombia if we have the chance. But you have to be quick in some sense. I lost some time because of, well, money issues, as you saw. But you have to be really quick because if other nations get in there and start colonizing, you're going to have a bit of a problem because the first person to have a colonial nation there will have the right to that area. Well, at least that's what the Pope will then say. So so most Catholic nations will then leave their area alone. But if, of course, they are Protestant or Reformed, then they might just ignore that. But enough about that. So now we know we want to colonize this area. So which province should you colonize? Well, what I would recommend is taking a look at the trade map mode. So you can see that our main trade port is over here. So we want to get trade from the New World over to this province. So let's see, where does this trade come from? So one comes down here from Africa, and this one comes all the way from, that's convenient, from the Caribbean. So the best provinces to occupy or to colonize first are the trade provinces, and you can see whether these provinces have a bonus by looking at these images. So here you can say it's a natural harbor, so local trade power +5. And most of the time it's the provinces that are the closest to this node that have the most power. So I would say let's start with this one, with Jamaica. So let's send our colonists there. And let's wait a while. And also make sure that we send this guy over there, because now that this is colonized, we don't need to have any troops there, because the natives will no longer rise up. Oh, our colonist is almost there. I was sleeping a bit. Okay, put him on the ship, and then send the ship over here. Ah, there he is. Put him there, and done. And something else you can do to increase the speed of your colonies growing is use this. So this is in the Burgers tab, Interactions tab. Grant New World Charter, Global Settler Increase +10. So in order to do that, we will have to lose 5 prestige. But it's totally worth it. Okay, so they don't have enough influence yet. So how do we give them more influence? Probably by giving them more land. Their influence will increase to... Okay, let's just give them this one. And then this one. There. And then grant New World Charter. And we can even ask for a contribution. That is very nice. Oh, that was also something I forgot to tell you. So another thing you can see when you click on these provinces is, of course, the local religion. But that will change if there are... so if you build colonies in, for example, the Caribbean or in America or South America, then the provinces will get your religion, so your state religion. So in this case, that it will be Catholic. However, there are some provinces where if you send your people over there, the religion will be that of the people that you actually live there. I don't know when this happens. I believe this has to do with the size of the natives there, but for most of these provinces, so for the first couple of colonizations you will do, you will not have to worry about this. And the second thing you can see here are the possible trade goods that you can find there. So you can see there, these are the possibilities of those trade goods. So you have cotton, coffee, tobacco, etc., which each have their own trade value, of course. So that is interesting to see. So here we have fish, apparently, and here we have also fish. You can also find gold in some provinces. For example, here in Gold Coast, I believe there's a fairly high... This Ivory Coast then. Yeah, Gold Coast we haven't explored it yet, but there are some provinces where there are fairly high chances of finding gold, which is also it's also pretty nice to take into account. So slowly but steadily we are approaching admin tech level 10, and if that is the case, we can form the Spanish nation. So that's something we will need to pay attention to. So let's just now wait a while and wait until we have a. So let's wait until we have a 5th colony over here. So we just got our Castilian West Indies as a subject. I already explained this, but I've accidentally turned off the recording, so I have to tell you this again. So now this is one of your subjects, and now since we are getting these trade products here, we would actually like to send them home to our main trade port. So that would be over here to Sevilla. But how do we do that? Well, it would be nice if we had an extra trader, right? But unfortunately, we don't we can only get extra traders through specific idea groups. For example, over here, the trade ideas, you will get 2 extra merchants. However, there is one extra way you can do this, and that's where colonizing is very handy. If your colony has 10 cities, you will get a free trader. So what actually would be a nice idea is to just expand your colony, just colonize some more provinces until you have 10 and you get an extra trader. However, I would recommend you to not do this. I would recommend you to colonize some different areas. So for example, Colonial Colombia or Brazil or any of these areas is very good to colonize. Because most of the time your subject will colonize these provinces themselves, so you don't actually have to do this. So let me give you some other tips in case you're playing as a different nation in terms of colonizing. So as France or England, for example, which are great nations to colonize with. So as France, I would suggest you first also colonize the Caribbean, because you can steer trade from here down here, which will end up in Sevilla, which is the Spanish trade node, or you can send it along this line to Bordeaux, which is not the main trade port for France, but France can then steer it again from there to Champagne, which is also a good idea. And as the English, I would recommend you to, because yeah, it just comes down to take a look at where the trade comes from. So for the English, that would be either from here, so this line, which comes from over here. So that's so you could build an American colony, or an English colony in the on this coast, or you could build a colony here in Canada, and then this trade would come from up here, which are both great ideas to do. And then when you have these first colonies, I would just recommend you to see where the trade from. So you then have a main trade node for that colony. So for example, here that would be this one, and then I would recommend you to look where that trade again comes from. So in this case, that comes from either down here, so from Panama, or from here. So I would then recommend you to colonize that area, so you're gonna have trade power also there, so you can have this great train or caravan of trade, which increases your trade value even more. So as Spain, I would next recommend you to either go for Colonial Colombia or Colonial Brazil, which are both great options. So most of the things about colonization I've explained to you right now already with this tutorial. There are some more things, of course, that could happen in terms of colonial wars or people colonizing right next to you and then having to take back that province, of course, because you want that to be your colony. But I think that is mostly self-explanatory. So if you want to see a part 4, let me know down in the comments below and tell me what you want me to explain. And otherwise, this might be the last part of this series. So I would like to thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!